Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana, and I am so excited to be celebrating 10 years of meaningful conversations with you. As we step into our new primetime hour, it's such an honor to share this exciting new chapter with you. So whether you're starting your day out, headed to work, or listening from wherever you are, this hour is designed to bring you thoughtful dialogue, fresh insight, and inspiring stories so you can make every moment count. So thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive in. We're here today with special guest, Cheng, who's here to share with us her Nautilus Award Winning novel, Phoenixa The Nest, a mythical quest for the Cheng Legacy. What if a child's quest to uncover her family's legacy could reveal timeless truths about identity, freedom, and the search for peace? Sounds like quite an intriguing novel, and our guest today is here to share with us just that. Cheng is an award-winning Chinese-American author, filmmaker, Cheng family historian, founder of the East-West Corridor Press, and the creator of the Phoenixa Saga, a mystical quest for peace, a mythic cross-media literary universe exploring mythology, ancestry, civilization, and humanity's search for peace. So welcome to the show, Cheng.
Hi, Marianne. Thank you for inviting me.
My goodness, what a great honor it is to have you here and to talk about this book. And congratulations on your Nautilus Gold Book Award. I mean, my goodness, what an accomplishment.
Well, thank you so much. I really want to say a special thank you to Nautilus Selection Committee. Their value, their core value, really resonates so much with Phoenixa The Nest. I feel we are the team. We are the force. We're here to share with the world, hopefully, better book for the better world.
So, what does this significance of having this award mean for you as an author?
I think Phoenixa The Nest, after winning two other awards, one is Literary Titan Gold Award, and also Somerset's semi-finalist, I have reached a momentum. I feel the world is embracing my message through Nautilus Book Award, a fantastic book award which really cares about the well-being of the world. Not just individuals, but a holistic system has to be set up. I was reading a Nautilus story. I was so inspired by its founder's vision about cultural movement, about a shift, a paradigm shift has to be made. That is about 26 years ago. So congratulations, Nautilus Book Award, and thank you for giving me this gold honor. I notice I'm in the category of small press, and I am the only single gold one. So I'm very grateful to this opportunity to share my story.
Well, that says a lot about your book, your writing, and your publishing company. So, congratulations to you on that. And let's dive into your book. What inspired you to write this?
Inspiration. I have this inspiration is throughout my life. Before I came to America in 1988, I was the CCTV, that is China Central Television, English anchorwoman and journalist. By then, I had this mission to tell the China story to the world. And the first story I told is the dragon story. By then, China was just as a sleeping dragon was sleeping, was just about to be opened. But now today, 40 years later almost, I am making a phoenix story, a Feng Huang story. And I feel the metamorphosis, transitioning from dragon to Feng Huang, is a journey itself of evolution. It's not only it's my personal journey, morphing from a television journalist into an author, and I'm still a filmmaker. It's also a metamorphosis of a country. I'm talking about China as a sleeping dragon. Now it's the roaring dragon. This dragon is so powerful, it presents a threat to the world, perhaps. So the world is taking notice, but I really feel the world really needs an insider's story. So that's why I'm writing the story from the mythological point of view and also personal point of view.
So, why don't you share a little bit about Phoenixa? Why don't you share that with us without giving away any spoilers?
Uh-huh. Phoenixa The Nest is the first book of Phoenixia's saga, a mystical quest for peace. I really feel peace as a theme is so much in the center of today's world. We really want to embrace peace, not just world peace, but also inner peace. So this inner peace, how do we get it? I always feel we have to start from young, from a child. So I designed this protagonist, Phoenixia, as a 6.5-year-old who is living in a Chinese courtyard back in 1960s. Because I was born in 60s, into a great turmoil of China. So I want to tell the story from the vantage point of China in a turmoil, and then try to see how this little girl evolved. How is her um, innocence or her curiosity evolve? How is her consciousness evolve and thrive and against this superpower that fighting against her? So it's a personal growth story. It's a transcendental story. It's very mystical. I use the classic of mountains and seas, Shanghai Jing, as my wings. If you think phoenix is the magical bird, which we all know, a bird of immortality in Western mythology, but it is a symbol of peace. If phoenix is the wings, I feel I am the soul of the wing, right? The little girl. So the little girl's imagination takes the wings throughout this 500 some pages. So it's quite a journey. It's a fantasy on its outside as its shell, but the core is actually a very human story. This human story is really connecting with the universe, and I feel we're so human centric. I didn't want to write a social realism story. I really want to write a cosmic story. That is why I feel the Nautilus Award. I'm coming back to them because their very core value is they're celebrating this sea creature who's detecting the world using its tentacles, right? So its consciousness is constantly evolving. That is why I feel Phoenixia as a little girl is a little pioneer of human consciousness. She dared to ask questions in a forbidden environment. So she is flying on the wings of this gigantic, beautiful phoenix, traversing through not only the turmoils of modern China, but also the fantastical landscape where she seek for the cure for the human disease. So the cure for greediness under the guidance of her grandfather, of course. As you know, the grandfather is the soul of the story. My personal story is really resonating in this complete construction of the story. It's totally based on my imagination of my grandfather, whose name is Cheng Legacy, who is the early modernizer of China. He is a very important figure in Chinese history.
Did you use a lot of yourself in the construction of this little girl?
It's completely myself. Some people say, wow, this is a memoir, but in a fantasy form. It's 100% myself. Why do I say so? When I grew up in China, I had environment with private education because our family come from this high intellectual, but big intellectual is condemned, is persecuted in those 1960s. So I have to have this private education at home. So the trajectory of my growth is really the trajectory of China morphing into a modern world in today's stature, which is really powerful in direct confrontational, um, like almost like a combat with the United States. That is why I feel I need to be the feng shui master to really manage this geopolitical feng shui with a very deeply personal story with fantastical twist. So reader, not only they can learn so much about Chinese history and even relationship with the United States, but also about themselves. So it is multiple layered story of both a country's progress and also personal uh, evolution. All my films, I'm also a filmmaker, and novels are all multi-layered. So it takes a viewer's really a tranquil time to really dive in. I'm also writing philosophically in addition to mystically. So because my ancestors is China's philosophical founder, the Cheng brothers, back 1,000 years ago. The Cheng brother, Cheng Yin, Cheng Hao, set their Neo-Confucianism, emphasized on moral ethics, emphasized on integration between heaven and man. So emphasize on the cosmic relationship between human and nature. That is why I feel this book, if we can share it with children, if parents can read the story for their children, so then we can cultivate our own virtues. I have just so much to share with children, with parents, and with professors of Chinese history or China study, with universities, high school students, anyone who's interested in China. But it is more than a China story, it's a universal story, right? Who doesn't want to be healed? Everyone has a phoenix story, their rebirth story. Everyone has some kind of trauma, some kind of dark side of them. How do we recognize our inner demon? How do we cure ourselves? We need to go into the investigation of our own soul. Many people, I come to this country for the sake of freedom, but I also find out people are too materialistic, and I mean, I would like our people to dive into the spiritual aspect of life, dive into the invisible. The invisible is actually governing the visible. So that's what I want.
Did you feel a sense of responsibility with your family heritage to carry this message forward of being able to teach a new generation maybe some things that have been lost?
Right. I think the Chinese generation, when I grew up, many history were hidden. I often write about forbidden story. I often touch upon taboo subject matter. It takes courage. So you know what? One life to live, and we need to share the truth. So my passion for truth really, guide me into a search for the other side of the story, because I was somewhat brainwashed before I came to the United States in 1988. But my private education in English by my father made me feel there is a different world, there is a different way of thinking. In 1972, when Nixon came to China in effort to open China, eventually in 1979, we had the relationship opened up. My family, my aunt and uncle arrived in China after 30 years of separation, zero contact. The first thing I learned that I have an uncle and aunt in the United States is I see a picture of my uncle's coffin. Can you believe that? After 30
Oh my
years,
gosh.
the first thing I see is handsome man in suit in a coffin. I say, this is my uncle in the United States. You see, I was so shocked. So now my aunt is still alive. She arrived in beautiful Chinese dress, although she was American. I had such a fancy of her, but instantly I had a feeling of her that she is bad woman. Because I was brainwashed. Why? Because we were told beauty is evil. Okay? Beauty is bourgeoisie's, all bourgeoisie thoughts, all old traditions, are evil. So we cannot celebrate that. So I had such a cultural shock looking at my beautiful aunt. Little do you know that they brought me a whole set of Disney audiobooks and the illustration book through which I dived in learning about Cinderella, a Little Red Riding Hood, Snow White. All these beautiful English stories bring me into a magical world. And then I transformed myself into a fantasy world. So today I want to create that fantasy world and give it back to readers around the world.
What
So,
a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that with us. And as difficult as part of it is seeing your uncle for the first time in a coffin, the story you share about your aunt and meeting her, that sounds so touching.
yeah, yeah. Um, so I will be writing the second book, which is called Phoenixa The Nest. The first book is Phoenixa The Nest is the first. Second one is Phoenixa The Flight. So that would be my American journey. The metamorphosis of little Phoenixa from this curious, spirited, wild heart little girl is now actually flying and landing in the land of the free. But is it really free, and what kind of adventure that is? So I want to create that adventure story for my reader who will be finishing my book. And some of the reader who has, I already some close friends finished the story, they are urging me to write the second.
I have no doubt. I mean, this first one being an award winner, I know people are just clamoring for the next one.
Right. And did you happen to read a few pages, and did you have any questions? And
Oh, I have so many questions for you, and reading it was just amazing. How do you hope readers reflect on their own family legacy as they're reading your book?
thank you for the question. It is so crucial for us to remember who we are through the knowledge of our ancestors. I mean, I am in a very solo journey. Uh, Even though Cheng family is a big family, not everyone is on the same page. Many say, oh, it's the past. You can go on just search on your own and why you are, dwelling in the past. Well, here's what I'm saying. I find seeking your past and finding who your ancestors are can actually find who you are, right? Your genes is directly coming from your grandfather. Like me, I have 25% of my grandfather, Cheng Zhenjun, who is a warrior, who is a giver, and who is a visionary. And I am not thinking small on a daily basis. I'm creating novel of epic scope to wanting to bring harmonies in humanity. See, where does that come from? It comes from your ancestors. Our ancestors is our, guiding light. Let me tell you my ancestor story. You wouldn't believe throughout my life, I'm 60 something today, very proud of my mature age. I only knew my ancestors when I was 50, 10 years ago. Throughout my life, my father has never told me anything about my grandfather. Zero. So, this shocking family history has been hidden. It's so shocking. When I found my grandfather's name on the internet, I feel electrified. I feel I was struck by lightning. The magnitude of his name, the contribution he made to the modernity of China, to modernize China, is so gigantic. Me as a descendant know nothing about it. It's just so shameful. And it is so unfilial and so undeserving to be in existence. If you don't remember your ancestors, what do you remember? Our daily existence is so mundane. I know it's daunting, but I think, would you or shall we share something or ask about our past, even though it's not too, glorified past, but at least we can seek something. I think the roots is really essential. Without the roots, a tree will fall down, right? A person need to have center pillar. Why we're so worried on a daily basis, so worried, lose our center equilibrium, the calmness, because we're lost. We are floating. We don't have roots. Who's your roots? You have cultural roots, and you have this lineage, and Everyone has ancestors. Ancestral story is your wealth. I often say we are rich. We have wealth. Please excavate your own wealth. This also resonates with another central theme of my book, that is, we are born good. I know Christianity think we're born somehow with guilty. We need to redeem ourselves. I'm not contradicting, but I'm saying the Neo-Confucianist point of view is we are born good, but we can be polluted, and we can correct ourselves by polishing ourselves, by cultivating our virtues. So ancestral teaching, ancient wisdom, is really at core of Phoenixa Saga, a mystical quest for peace. This is the core of Nautilus Book Award. The ancient wisdom is in a spiral shape, chamber by chamber, virtue by virtue. Everyone need to claim a chamber of yourself, and we can live more peacefully. We can simply have more smiles, right, on a daily basis.
More peace would be amazing. And I
Yeah.
think having young people learn this at such an early age would be so empowering for them for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. It's life changing. I think if we can cultivate our virtue, have a peaceful pillar implanted, um, then the world would be not full of resentment. Culture will be celebrating their difference instead of having religious wars. I mean, it's appalling. We have wars today. I have been writing this book during pandemic. I was shocked when the Ukraine war broke out. And I said 21st century human can do this. We are just really living in the Stone Age. I mean, even Stone Age people, sometimes they're peaceful. The Chinese wisdom, actually, all these Confucianism, Taoism, uh, originated from at least 2,500 years ago. That means our ancient thinkers and philosophers, they are so much smarter. Tell me today, other than AI advancement, who is the spiritual thinker? We're living off the past. So the past is our greatest wealth. And we just need to be aware. So it's the awareness, it's the consciousness I want to dive into so that we can be transformed, becoming, self-discovery. Everyone, read Phoenixa The Nest to begin with. I would be so grateful if they can find a tranquil time to really dive into the story. And then at the same time, I have an audio story, fully soundscaped, and they can perhaps have ebook and then listening to the audio, then that would be very complete. But even without the book, if you just listen to my audiobook, it's such a cinematic experience. But I would request this audience or listener, please listen it maybe before bed. Don't listen it when you're washing dishes. But don't listen it when you're driving a car, because it sometimes is so shocking. It will detour you sometimes.
Oh my goodness. So I understand you have a forthcoming documentary series. Can you share that with us?
Thank you. My documentary series, a series called Cheng Legacy, an ancestral quest for modern China, for modernity, actually. Phoenixa Saga and Cheng Legacy are like two wings of this phoenix, right? One wing is the fiction Phoenixa, the other is the nonfiction, is documentary hard truth. My process of seeking for my Cheng legacy, the legacy of China, the legacy of humanity's evolvement into who they are, actually formed the main content of Cheng Legacy. I started research 10 years ago upon discovering my family history in a antique book, sold in an antique market in Shanghai. I have to pay high price to purchase this. And even that, it took me 3 years to actually locate this particular copy. After I paid high price, I received it. Boy, I opened it 7 page only. 7 fragile brown pages, some broken. And I shared with my close friend. He said, "You have the blueprint for a Hollywood, masterpiece." So my family story is so epic because it is a story of China. It started from 1911, from the downfall of the imperial China, then all the way up until the 1930s, when my grandfather was building roads. My grandfather was the minister of the economy of the whole province. China by then was just in its poverty after defeated by the Eight Alliance, the Western power, and also Japanese power, lost the Opium War. China was down. So my father was facing a country that has no roads and no food, and just a very feudal society, just barely breathing. So in order to save the country, he went to the UK, Scotland. That is why I started this journey, ancestral journey, discovering he actually went to England, actually Scotland, to study civil engineer. With that knowledge and also the spirit of Scottish Enlightenment, which is the spirit of science and technology, he gave back his knowledge to China. So after 7 years in Scotland, and together with his brother, so I have a set of Cheng brothers to introduce to the world. My ancestor, the Cheng brothers in Sung Dynasty, who is a neo-Confucianist, whose founding thoughts are still China's core cultural foundation. Now I have my grandfather and my granduncle as the Cheng brothers of Republic of China, that China before the communists take over in 1949. So their story is the East-West story. They went to Scotland to study science and technology and come back to China to build roads, to establish China Expo, to set up the first local bank. These are the legacy I discovered, which I have no knowledge of. I was so ashamed of myself. I was so angry with my country who hide all this history. Then I said, it's my fault. I was too curious about American culture, forgetting about my own roots. So when I get older, after I have somehow, achieved my American dream in terms of creatively, not in its complete sense, but partially, I began to yearn for who I really am. So that's why I turned to my Cheng legacy. The legacy is a legacy of manifestation, legacy of giving. And I discovered my Cheng clan, my birth town, my ancestral town in Wuyuan.
Just both story and life story.
Yeah. So I will share that story through 20 episodes of Cheng Legacy. It's an episodic documentary, very cinema verite. It's not your typical Netflix, beautiful camera work. A lot of time I have to go on my own because I have to be, I was searching for my Cheng graveyard, climbing mountains after mountains. Can you imagine a woman with a camera in her hand? At that time, I was holding a big camera in my hand, standing at the foot of the mountain. There was 5 men sitting under a tree drinking teas, asking me, "What are you doing here?" And I said I was looking for my family tomb. And they were so moved. In Chinese culture, it's the man's duty to look or take care of your family tomb. And they're looking at this woman doing this. So they just followed me 5 days, going through mountains after mountains, looking for this family graveyard. Guess what? By the end, the local government say, you should just go away, pick up some dirt, just then make a bow to the mountain, call it a day. And just when I was about to leave, there is this man who's sitting drinking tea, I guess so compassionate as seeing me so disappointed. And he said, "You know what? 10 years ago, I came here. I saw a big graveyard, and there was an arch standing right there. look at my vegetable garden. You know what? I had the construction people knock it down. I knock it down, but there's 2 pillars left. I'm using it to stop the flood. And maybe you should take a look.
Oh my goodness, what a story. Well, JJ, I mean, you're such an inspiration. And again, congratulations on your Gold Nautilus Book Award. Where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community and learn more about your work?
Oh, I have 2 websites, actually 3, PhoenixaCheng.com. Phoenixa spelling as PhEnixaCheng.com. And you can also have my small press website. That's eastwestcorridor.press. I am still developing all these websites. I would like our viewers to join me to learn more about it. And I would love to hear your story, the Phoenix story, meaning the reader's story. Just like Nautilus about in the 90s when they had the vision of having a cultural movement. Let's have a cultural movement of raising our consciousness, contributing to the cause of peace for the benefit of our own health. Can I say more practically, if you want to be practical? Because we want to heal. We are all wounded. So we need to set ourselves free in a very healthy way. And thank you for embracing Phoenixa The Nest and Phoenixa Saga, Mystical Quest for Peace. Coming up. Thank
Well,
you.
JJ, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, every listeners.
Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You're listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.